like to give a special shout out to our creator, Mr. Brother King, God, friend. Anything that you need him to be, he'll be there for you. Mr. Martez Flowers. We thank you for including each and every one of us in your Frequency Higher network. We have Frequency Higher apparel. We have a Frequency Higher music label. So going on over to his Facebook page, or go over to the Instagram page, Frequency Higher Talk, and Frequency Higher Talk on YouTube. Check it out. You might find something that you like. All right, y'all. We're going to get it started. I chose, we chose this topic because now we're living in a different age and we're living in a different time. This is the age of Aquarius. And we don't have to do all of that extra stuff to get healing. And doing that extra stuff, we try to do a lot of things that doesn't seem like it would work. We go to different people, we go to different churches, we lean on religion, and we lean on these, a whole lot of things that we really don't have to lean on. And we do that because we suffer a lot of trauma, we suffer grief, and everybody handles it differently. And I'm a Black woman in the Black family. And I noticed that a lot of times when you have something traumatic that happens, or something that happens and it's a grief and it's a grieving situation, that we don't deal with it, that we ignore it and we pretend that it doesn't happen. And we just act like, we can go on and on, but we don't realize that stuff gets deep rooted down in our souls and our spirits. And we continue on and we have children and families and we go on. And that stuff is so deep down in us that we don't know. And we pass it on from generation to generation. We pass on that trauma. We pass on that grief. Something that we don't need to pass on. Something that we can deal with and we can recognize that we don't have to carry it and it doesn't have to follow in our seed. It doesn't have to follow in our bloodline. It doesn't have to follow in our generation. Ashe. All right. Now I remember, I don't know if a lot of people know about a lot of things concerning me. I haven't really talked about a lot of stuff, but as a newborn, I was adopted. I am adopted child, but I was adopted by my paternal family. I wasn't like taken away and was hidden away and nobody knew where I was. Mom and dad always knew where I was, visits, and, it was a part of the family, maternal family and paternal family. They were very close. So we were, all entwined. I have brothers and sisters and, we grew up together. There were some that, were adopted out into other families, and we found each other later on, and it was awesome, and it was great growing up around family and everybody together. We all lived on one block, and, it was awesome. And I can remember, for my family, and I know my family doesn't talk about this. I know my family probably think, well, Fee shouldn't be talking about this, but I'm going to talk about it because I'm going to talk about it from my perspective. Everybody has a perspective of everything, and I'm going to talk about it from my perspective. And I remember as probably like a preteen, we had an incidence of SIDS in our family. And the situation happened right out in front of everybody. We discovered, the mother, my cousin, discovered that her baby wasn't breathing, and the whole family was there. And it was a very traumatic situation, very traumatic. But I also remember Nobody never talked about it again. We never talked about it. Nobody never talked about the baby. Nobody never, we never talked about it again. Never talked about it again. And for me, I kind of felt like, okay, I was a kid, so I kind of felt like, all right, maybe that's something that I wasn't supposed to be talking about. So we just never talked about it, and that's something that I feel that happens within the Black family, because that's something that we should have talked about. That's something that we should have come together. And I'm not saying that we didn't do it, because somebody had malicious intentions or somebody was trying to hide. We just didn't know no better. Sometimes people just don't know no better because you wasn't taught. You was just supposed to suppress those feelings, don't show those emotions, but that was a very traumatic situation for the family, and that's how we dealt with it. But this is 2026. This is the age of Aquarius. This is the evolutionary universal time where you can just think it and it's done. You don't have to be bottled down by all of that mess and all that trauma and that grief. Just live on a higher level. Just go to another frequency. Rise above the trauma. Acknowledge it, know that it's there, and just rise above it. Ashe? It is what it is. Rise above it. We don't have to stay there. Now we are at a point where we can be open. We can talk about things. Nothing is taboo or voodoo, or we can talk about things, openly talk to things. There was a time when you couldn't talk to your mom or your dad about situations, but now you can talk to your parents. I want my kids to be able to talk to me about everything. Child, my daughter, when she talks, she tells me all kind of stuff. Some of the stuff I don't even want to hear, but I'm glad she feels like that she's open and she can talk to me. And that's the key. Talking about it, going to another frequency, going higher, moving above it, knowing that those situations don't make you or break you. They just give you what you need to be a better you. Ashe. Ashe. All right. I appreciate y'all coming in. I thank y'all. Everybody on Facebook, I appreciate you. Share the live. Share the live and like it. Over on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all don't pay me no mind. I'm smoking. Y'all know what I do. What I do. I do what I do. All right. All right. So we're gonna go back to what I feel is a solution to the problem. Moving higher, raising your frequency, moving above the situation, acknowledging the situation and know, okay, this has happened, but I don't have to stay stuck in this place. I can move higher. Evolution, join the evolution, evolve, take your mind to a whole nother place. Ashe. All right. We're getting a lot of talk over here on Facebook. All right, Miss Barbara. Appreciate you, Miss Barbara. Share the live, Miss Barbara. All right, Grand Rising, everybody. Grand Rising. Welcome to the Frequency Higher Talk podcast. And today we are talking about trauma and grief, on how to handle it in the Black family. We know that we suppress it. We act like it didn't happen, but things happen. And sometimes we react to situations and we don't know. We don't know what's right. We don't know what's wrong. Nobody comes here with a plan. Nobody comes here perfect, knowing what to do. But if you rise higher, go to another frequency, whatever you need to know, you'll know it when you need to know it. Right? Whatever you need to know, you'll know it when you need to know it. All right. And so I want to talk a little bit more. Let's expand a little bit more on to grief. And I want to expand on to grief because grief is an area where I get stuck a lot. And no matter how much I learn, no matter how much I do research or how much I know about anything in reincarnation, universal, chakras, all of that, everything that I know about grief and about death and about what happens in your soul, it still hits me like a ton of bricks. It still puts me in a state of where I don't want to deal with nothing or nobody. I just go into a depression and I don't want to be bothered. And today we're going to find a solution. And that solution is rise above it. That solution is I need to raise my frequency on another level because I have the knowledge in my brain, but I need to get it in my heart and I need to get it in my soul because I know that it's real knowledge. I know that life is death and death is life. I know that being told over and over again, about death in the religious form and that stuff be just embedded down in you. And we hear about heaven and we hear about hell and all of that stuff. And none of that stuff is true. None of that stuff is true. And I know that. I understand what happens to my soul, my spirit, when my body goes to sleep. I understand all of that. But my problem is when those people are gone and they are not in your life anymore and they don't have the input or the influence that they used to have on you, that's a problem for me. But you know what? I need to rise above that. I need to go to a higher frequency, a higher level of understanding. And I need to get my mind right with my soul. Because I'm going through grief. I'm depressed. I'm hurting. I'm crying. I'm mourning. And they done moved on to an elevation that is unbelievable. An elevation that don't nobody ever want to come back from. An elevation that is so powerful that it moves everything. Everything in you. Death moves everything. Everything around you, everything in you, the people around you. Death moves all of that. But then they're gone. And it hurts. But today we're going to rise above that. We're going to go to another frequency. We are going to live in, not want to, but we are going to live in a higher frequency of knowing that we don't have to hold on to grief anymore, knowing that we don't have to hold on to trauma anymore, that we can move higher and move above those things and become the gods and the goddesses that we are. We don't have to become, we already are gods and goddesses. We already have moved mountains and we've already done it. We just have to know that we've done it. We just have to know that it's been done. We just have to know that our soul has already fulfilled it. We just have to connect the dots. How do we connect the dots? Has anybody ever asked themselves that question? How do we connect the dots? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Over there, you on Facebook, put in the chat. How do we connect the dots of not suffering from trauma and grief? I'm going to give y'all a second. All right, I gave y'all a second. How do we connect the dots? Just know. That's it. Just know. Just know. You don't have to believe. You don't have to go into no deep prayer or no deep meditation. When you know who you are and what you're capable of, everything else will follow. When you know who you are and you know what you're capable of, nothing can stop you. You don't have to pass on grief. You don't have to pass on trauma. I love the fact that I didn't pass on trauma and grief. I have a child that's free to be whoever she want to be, however she want to be. No judgment. I'm always going to be here, no matter what. That's how you heal it. She know that no matter what happens, I'm always going to be here. That's how that works. That's how that works. Just know. I know she ain't going to suffer. I know her children will never suffer. I already know it. Because I'm a melanated goddess. I'm a 9 ether being. Mother of the universe. Everything I create is a perfect creation. No matter how I create it, externally or internally, I know who I am. I know what I possess. And nothing can stop me. Ashe. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you possess? Do you know that you can stop anything? Anything. It don't matter what it is. We are gods and goddesses of the universe. That says a lot. And if you know that about yourself, don't ever suffer from trauma or grief to where it affects your lineage, your bloodline, your generation, none of that. I'm not saying that stuff ain't gonna happen. I'm not saying we ain't gonna go through. We're gonna go through. This is life. This is flesh. And this is blood. And we are going to go through as gods and goddesses of the universe. But don't stay there, okay? Don't stay there. Don't stay there. We can't stay there. We don't have a choice but not to stay there. We are perfectly made. We are the creators, not the creation. We are the creators. And to my Black families out there, let it go. Don't take it to the next generation. Don't take it to your children. Don't take it to your grandchildren. Just know And once you know, that's the end of it. And we don't have to suffer no more. We as Black families do not have to suffer no more. It ends today. It ends today. It ends today. All right. All right. Well, I thank each and every one of you for coming through. Over there on YouTube, y'all, thumbs up. I appreciate the support, man. I'm just elated about the support that I have over there on YouTube. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming by, for whatever you did to support me in this, to leave a comment, share, like it, watch it for a second. It don't matter what you did. I appreciate it. Over there on YouTube, my YouTube family, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming through and making this a wonderful experience, not just for me, but for you also. So we're going to wrap up episode 2. And stay tuned. Subscribe to all of the social media. All of the links will be in the comments and the description, so you'll know the time and the date of our episode number 3, who's going to be in it and what we're doing. And just know that we are elevating. We are going higher. We are going to the next frequency. We are not stopping. We are taking this evolution higher. All right. Thank you for stopping by.